Hi everyone, welcome to Python for Academics. In this video we're going to go one step further and remove any duplicate references from the bibliography database file. So this is the file that we've been working on so far. You can see that it's got a couple of duplicated references, for example these two items at the end of the file. And also for the purpose of this exercise I created one extra duplicated reference over here, just so that we make sure that our code works well. And in this exercise, we're going to create a copy of this .bib file that only stores unique references. So we would like to remove all the duplicates that are originally present in that file. And in this exercise, we're going to use part of the code that we've developed in the previous video. So I already copied that here. We can go ahead and run these cells. We're going to import the regular expressions library. We're going to open that .bib file and read its content. We're going to split the content of that file using the new line character. And then we're going to look for all the tags to those bibliographic references that are present in that file. We're going to close that file. So if I show you what's inside of this tags list, it's basically a list of all the tags that are present in that .bib file, and some of them are present twice. So for example, this article is duplicated, and then this textbook is duplicated as well. So the first thing that we are going to do is we're going to create a list of unique tags, and we can do that by using the set container. So I'm going to call that list unique tags, and we're going to convert the tags list to a set that removes any duplicates, and then I'm going to convert this back into a list just so that we get a list of these unique tags. So now if I show you what's inside of that list, we only get the unique names of those references in the .bib file. So what we would like to do in this exercise is to now create a list of all the bibliographic references, but in such a way that one item in that list is this full bibliographic reference. So instead of splitting the file content using the new line character, we would like to split it with something else such that every item in that new list is a full bibliographic reference. So I'm going to call that new list bib items, and we're going to use the file content and split it, and the character that we can split it with could, for example, be this @ symbol. Now this @ symbol is present only once per reference. This is the character with which the reference starts, so we can use that to split the content of that file. And if I do this and I show you one of the items in that list, I can also wrap this with the print statement so that we have this nicely printed. So you can see that this item at index 3 contains the entire reference to that article. Now notice that the first item in that list is actually an empty string. And that's because the first split that Python performs is exactly here at the beginning of the file. And before that first @ symbol, there's actually nothing standing before it. So it's an empty string that becomes the first element in that list. Now this is not necessarily what we want to have, so we could only contain the elements starting from the second item in that list onwards. So if I do that, then the first bibliographic item is actually that article and not an empty string. Now also notice that for all of these items in that list now, they do not start with this @ symbol. That's just because we performed the split at the @ symbol and it has been removed. from all of these strings. Now we need to bring back this @ symbol, because when we write to this new file, we want this to be formatted in the right way so that LaTeX can interpret those references. And we can do that. We can add back this @ symbol using list comprehensions. So we can, for example, write @ plus item for item in bib items. So if we do that, and I can move that cell over here, then I can show you that now the first item in that list starts with the @ symbol, because we added it back to every item in that list. Okay, so now we can create a new file that will store the copy of the .bib references, the unique references. So I'm going to call a new file. We're going to use the Python's function open. We're going to create it in the same directory, but we're going to give it a different name. I'm going to call it unique bibliography.bib, and I'm going to open it for writing into a file. You can see that the file has been created, because we would like to now write unique references into that file. So now we're going to loop over the items in the bib items. And if that item is not yet present in that file, we're going to include it. If it's already present, then we're not going to include it. So this way we'll avoid adding duplicate items into that file. And we're going to check whether it's already included or not by the tag. So we need to copy the code that finds the tag of each item. We can use the same regular expression as before and search for the tag inside of every item. If I now print that tag, you can see that we find all the tags to those bib items that are stored in this list. And now we're going to only add an item to that new file if it hasn't been added yet. And we can do that by creating another if statement, and we're going to write if tag is in unique tags, then we're going to write it into a file. But if it's no longer in the unique tags, we're not going to add that item to the file. And every time we write an item into a file, we're going to remove the corresponding tag from the unique tags list. So now we can write new file write, and we're going to write that particular item into that file. And once it has been written into the file, we're going to remove that particular tag from the unique tags. So in this way, if let's say this article is added to the file the first time, the moment it's added, it's being removed from that unique tags list, and then the second time this for loop encounters that tag, this if statement evaluates to false. The tag is no longer in the unique tags, and so this item will not be written second time or the third time into that file. So we can execute that code, and at the end we can close this new file. And now if I open up that file, we can actually put them side by side just so that we can see the differences. So you can see that this file is essentially a copy of that file, but we don't have the duplicates included here. So for example, this article has been present twice in that original file, but here it's included only once. And then if we scroll to the end of that file, you can see that we had these two duplicate references at the end, and they're not included in that new file. So this new file ends with this PhD thesis, which is this item over here, and we see, it seems like we do not get duplicates written into that new file. So the last thing that you can do is to convert all of that code that we wrote into a script. So I already copied that code over here. It's essentially the same code that we wrote here. And now you can store that script in your Python toolbox, and every time that you need to clean up a bibliography database file, you can just execute the script and it will create a new a copy of your original bibliography database file that you can then upload in LaTeX. Creating a copy is just a safer option, just in case you have a bug in your code somewhere. It's just safer to keep the original file there. So you can use this script to automate cleaning up your bibliography database file.